The Cats woke up from their nap and snag a win and a little bit of redemption for the Hamilton Tiger Cats against their most recent Grey Cup opponent. Welcome inside Game Day After Dark. Boy, Zach Schnitzer, how are you, my friend? All things considered, surprising, eye-opening game for you, especially when it comes to the Blue Bombers defense?
I gotta be honest, buddy. I wasn't that surprised. I mean, I'm surprised they put up that many. I'm not like completely shocked we lost the game because Hamilton has a good roster. They have great coaching and culture. And what intrigued me coming into the game was some things I read about Dane Evans getting some psychological help. And at the beginning of the game, it was, what's his name? Rod Smith, who said Dane Evans had a bit of a mind shift where he thought about, this isn't something I have to do. This is something I get to do. And from a psychological point of view, that's classic like cognitive behavioral therapy. Not to get too into it, Darrin, but I thought, well, if he's had a mind shift and he was holding on to the golf club, as it were, too tight, and the mantle of the pressure of being the franchise was too heavy on him. And you saw that with all those turnovers. I thought, well, if he's got his mind right, this could be a game. I didn't expect him to throw 5 touchdowns and put up 48 points on us. Well, mind you, 41. One was a defensive touchdown, but listen,
They put up 48 points on
they
the
put up
Bombers.
48.
They did.
And I'm not going to make excuses for the Bombers, injuries, bye week, blah blah blah. They got beat. They made a game of it late, which you always needle me when it's close, and you're like, "How you holding up, buddy?" And I'm like, "How do you think?" It was a 10-point game, and then Hamilton, to their credit, just ran the ball down our throat. One key play is where that Mills guy's a second stringer completely juked Adam Bighill, who I think is probably a bit nicked up, to be honest. But anyway,
Well, I want to talk
regardless,
more about Adam Bighill later, as well as the
yeah,
entirety of that Bombers linebacking core. But
but
go ahead.
man, like credit Hamilton. That's what I got to say. And from someone who works in mental health, I read what Dane Evans was going through earlier in the week. He talked openly about his head not being in the right place and struggling and suffering, and I thought good on him for showing that resilience, getting the help he needs. I'm going to talk more about that later from a fan perspective in another way, Darrin. But
Mhm.
I mean, I'm disappointed, and especially like I'm more disappointed because the game got close at the end. But that hurts more as a fan. But listen, full credit to Hamilton; they're a great organization. They deserve the win, and most importantly, Darrin, it vindicates my partner here. Other way to my
Who's that?
DB to my right.
You're left.
Whatever. I'm directionally impaired. Um, Listen, this is the East Division. I am eating crow, man. I told people on this show Dane Evans was done, and I thought he was done, but he doesn't appear to be done. I hope it's not a one-hit wonder because I hope they make the East Division more competitive, buddy. If they continue to execute like that, and it's sometimes there's a one-hit wonder when you're a struggling team and you have to win. And maybe you get up for playing the best team in the league, a team that's beaten you tragically in 2 straight Grey Cups. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how Hamilton continues here, but
Let me just say this to your previous statement about Dane Evans and questions of whether he was done or not. These are professional athletes. We've seen it time and time again in basketball, in baseball, in football, in hockey. Guys have a down year. Guys have a catastrophic injury. We've seen it in the Olympics and other international sports. The redemption story, the ability to come back when all the cards are down and things look as bleak as you could imagine. Pro athletes are not just physically gifted. You have to be mentally gifted to play at the highest level.
Mm.
And for Dane Evans, I knew he was going to work his tail off to come back from how bad he was playing earlier in the year when Matthew Schnitzer talked about it on the TSN post game and interviewing Dane Evans on the field after the game, saying, 4 or 5 weeks ago, you came out and wanted to be held accountable as the starting quarterback of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Loss after loss after loss, and fourth quarter meltdown after fourth quarter meltdown, fumbles, interceptions, just not being able to get it done on a very talented team who has been in the Grey Cup the last 2 years. And Dane Evans wanted to be held accountable. And when he showed that, I knew this wasn't a guy that was going to just let his career collapse like a house of cards.
Yep. But for
Wait,
sure.
were you
And
waving at me?
I was waving at Sandy. I'm
Hey, Sandy, how
I'm
are you? Great
really
to see everybody in the live chat.
happy to see Sandy in the live chat. She's one of my favorites. Yeah. No,
Well,
I mean,
we're here for you. Like everybody out there, a tough game for Bomber fans to watch. 48-31 loss to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. This is your therapy. This is your opportunity to chime in, join the live chat, text the hotline 816-8477. People were texting the hotline throughout the game. We're going to get to those, as well as our Walby's Warrior, our Westwood Wide to the right. I don't think it'll be too hard picking that one tonight, Zach. We'll give out our game balls, have our happy honker. And then, of course, our Bonfire burning point, which could be a couple tonight, but I want to start with the non-decision, or the decision to not pull Zach Collaros from the game when it was 41-17 with 3:47 remaining in the third quarter, and to keep pushing to get Winnipeg back into this game, which they did. How did you see that unfolding, Zach?
I was surprised. My mother-in-law and I were watching, doing our best to keep my toddler entertained. He desperately wanted to go outside. We got to the point where we dumped
Was not
out his,
alone.
no,
A lot of people wanted to go
yeah.
outside and get away from the TV.
We dumped out his blocks again and again and asked him to put them back, and he seemed to be somewhat okay with that. And then he started screaming. But you know what? My mother-in-law said maybe they should put in Brown, and I thought, this might be a time. It is the CFL, listen, they were down by 10 with about 3 minutes left, Darrin. They had a chance to come back. They caused a Hamilton 2 and out. And then they just seemed to wilt, and Hamilton, you knew Hamilton was going to run the ball, and somehow they just ran the ball down our throat. So, in hindsight, I think it was a good decision. You try and let Zach work out of it. I think Cameron Kelly must have Zach's number, because he picked him off in the Grey Cup. I think just once, not twice. But
Cameron Kelly is a hell of a good football player.
He's it seems like he's got his number, but yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, of course, if he had got injured, my goodness, we'd be up in arms. I'm also hearing Jeffcoat may have been injured. Glad to hear.
The game in the first half, and the team tweeted out that he would not return to the game.
See that. Too bad.
A couple other guys nicked up. Brandon Alexander, of course, left the game. Looks like the concussion spotter pulled him, but he was quickly back.
He was back,
smacking his head on the turf.
Yeah.
Did he, was he just closing his eyes because of the pain, or did he, go under for a second? We don't know. Greg McCrae also limping off in the fourth quarter.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't have a problem with Zach Collaros being in the game, and I think the only good thing for me about this win, aside from being proud of Dane Evans, was I hit my over on Schoen catching 3.5 passes. I believe he caught 6 or 7, and he had a monster game. So I made a little bit of money there, so I'm happy about that. But
we'll get into all of the numbers tonight. Zach Collaros. 2 interceptions. I don't even know if I want to hang both on him. They were really good play. That Jumal roll interception, the first one that they got off Zach Collaros, that's a timing route. So what does that mean? That means that Collaros is throwing it to a point on the field and anticipating his receiver to get there. I don't think it was the receiver's fault. I think Jumal roll made a very, very good play, leaving his man on kind of that shorter outside curl or outside cut, and jumping up, elevating and taking the football. That was a good play.
Yeah.
Hamilton's defense played really well today, Zach. I don't know if they played as well as Hamilton's offense. Should people be concerned about the Blue Bombers defense? This is how Richie Hall's defense does show its cracks with the pass defense, with first downs being moved. At the half, Zach, really offensive numbers between Winnipeg and Hamilton were pretty close as far as first downs. Winnipeg actually had one more first down than Hamilton. They had a better second down conversion rate at the half. They had very similar yards from scrimmage. But Hamilton was in control because they took advantage of those opportunities. Winnipeg's defense, when you talked about Adam Biggill, this is what I wanted to say. What I saw many times was Hamilton, they love using that jumbo set. They love using that, extra guys on the line, on the offensive line. And they often would get two blockers on Adam Bighill. We saw them pass target Shane Gauthier, who is in for Malik Clements, who is in originally for Kyrie Wilson. So down to their third stringer. Shane Gauthier has been in the league for 6 seasons. He has never been a starter. Winnipeg now relying on him to fill the side of a weak side linebacker. And what did we see? We saw Felix, Gendron Gauthier?
Gauthier, yeah.
Prime. He had that one big pickup in the first half, had a couple nice catches, but really trying to, they isolated Shane Gauthier, got him to the outside where he had to run. And we know Shane Gauthier can run fast in a straight line. We saw it obviously in that huge tackle in the playoffs in 2019 on special teams. But in pass defense, it's different. You're shuffling and kind of backpedaling. And then you're turning your hips and you're running when the ball's in the air. Well, they took advantage of Shane Gauthier's, speed mismatch to their receivers and their running backs, and they went after it all day long. So you double team Adam Bighill, you isolate Shane Gauthier, and then when the defense starts to come up to help, that's when you find opportunities to go over the top, which Winnipeg's defense allowed for the first time, I would say, in a long, long time. The defense has been good at playing off the ball and everything in front of them. And then today, Winston Rose, Jamal Parker, frankly, all of them, had times where Dane Evans went over the top. And that's a huge reason why Hamilton was able to open things up. And I think Dane Evans is going to be a CFL top performer this week, like they said on TSN.
Oh, he should be.
327 yards, 5 majors, no picks. And in the first half, I noticed he had a perfect quarterback efficiency rating of 158.3. He finishes the game with a perfect quarterback efficiency rating. He had a real comeback game today.
He did. And it's really cool that you isolated that, Darrin, with Shane Gauthier. I see him, correct me if I'm wrong, more as a run stopper. So is that fair to say?
Yeah.
More of a traditional linebacker.
He's a power linebacker.
Yeah. So if you isolate him on
what makes Adam Bighill good? What makes Adam Bighill good is he is a power linebacker who can run downhill and put the hurt on a running back, take on a 310-pound tackle or 320-pound tackle, and pick up that block and that sort of thing. But he can also drop to safety and pass cover and all those things. That's why Adam Bighill is one of the greatest to ever play in the Canadian Football League. Shane Gauthier maybe doesn't have that same ability to pass cover, and Hamilton went after it.
He just doesn't. I mean, it's not even a maybe for me. And no shade on Shane Gauthier. He's a great depth player on special teams, and
they're down to their third string.
And I keep saying on linebacker, even with Rutledge, who's had a lot of tackles. You throw the ball, the screen game, Fire Chevy, the screen game killed the Bombers. They killed the Bombers. Like, we had absolutely no pressure. They didn't say Jeffcoat or Jefferson's name even once.
Yeah, like Jefferson got there a little bit early, but then when Jackson Jeffcoat left the game, that was kind of it. We got to remember that normally when they pull one of the Jeffs out, they put in Teodric Hansen.
Right.
Well, he's not healthy.
Fair point.
Or Jonathan Kongbo. Well, he's obviously on the Denver Broncos practice roster now. So those rotational defensive ends was one area where Winnipeg maybe just didn't have that same consistency. The only other defensive end they have is the rookie, Dewan Cooper, who wasn't here 3 weeks ago and is not a big guy either. When I first saw him, I thought he was kind of a Donald Rutledge type. He's 6'3", 224. Now, if you're 6 foot 224, you're Kyrie Wilson. If you're 6'3", 224, you're a lot longer, to give you a gauge. Willie Jefferson, who is freakish, not many built like him. He's 6'7", 252, right? And Jackson Jeffcoat, 6'3", 243. So Jeffcoat's 6'3", 243. Their backup, who was not even in the Canadian Football League less than a month ago, is 6'3", 224. So Winnipeg used Casey Sales and Jake Thomas and Cameron Lawson, the Canadian, and Ricky Walker. They rotated those D tackles in, and similar to how they've done that in the past, they use Shane Gauthier as kind of a pressure guy in the box in those situations. But Hamilton put together a phenomenal game plan. They attacked Winnipeg all day long, and it worked. You can't beat a team over and over and over again. It's very hard to do that.
Yeah, totally. Someone said that in the chat, Darrin, and I think Waiters made a good point too, is that Hamilton was coming off the bye. They had a lot of time to prep. And I'm not making excuses for the Bombers, but my explanation is, and the reason I'm not I think one of the questions coming out of this is, are we concerned about the Bombers? And I was kind of writing some notes when the game seemed a bit over about that. Do we have reason to be concerned? So Hamilton is desperate. Evans seems to get his mind right just at the right time. They're eager for revenge at home, losing the Grey Cup at home. They've had some time to prepare. We are walking wounded. Good thing the West Final and the Grey Cup isn't before a bye, because we seem to lose to East teams before buys. Looking at that Montreal game.
Hamilton's not out of the mathematical picture
no.
To even win the division.
No, I know it's absolutely not. So they'll be in tough to catch Toronto, who beat them 3 times. Yeah. But I think, am I concerned? Every team gets beat any given Sunday, as they say. Although this was, of course, a Saturday, Darrin. I think you had, and credit to you, you said Hamilton was a very good team. They have good coaching. They have good ownership, and I think you look at, again, this is an explanation, not an excuse, because we deserve to lose, and Hamilton gets full credit to me, man. Full credit to Hamilton on this one. But you look at the injuries to the linebackers and DBs in this one, and I know this was Alexander's much heralded return. He hadn't seen him, coincidentally, since he was injured in the Grey Cup in Hamilton. Now he comes back.
Yep.
But one player is not going to change the fact that you've got Jamal Parker, Evan Holm in there. You have Shane Gauthier playing Will linebacker.
Yep.
Then Jeffcoat goes out. Who else? Rose. That's one that does bother me.
What do you
Winston
mean?
Rose. So for me, and I'll get to this later, but one of the big turning points in this game, which we were going to lose, fair enough, but to be down 27-14 going into the half is very different than being down 34-14.
Sure.
And Rose, I don't know what he was looking at. Seemed to be stuck looking back at the quarterback, Evans, but he was completely beat by this Smith fella for over a 50-yard touchdown. And to me, I don't play DB, Darrin. Maybe you can throw some thoughts on that one. But it harkens back to the beginning of the season against Ottawa, where he was beaten deep on double moves. This wasn't even a double move. This was a straight go route. He was in man. I don't know if there was supposed to be someone over the top, but it looks like he was just watching Dane Evans and watching the guy go by outside of him. He was playing inside, and it was basically like a Skelly play, pitch and catch. I don't understand that one.
This is what I'll say about defensive breakdowns especially in the secondary. There are so many things that could be at play, right? Sometimes defenders, like especially on a television broadcast, it's like, oh, why isn't he covering the man? Well, sometimes they're in a quarters defense where the DB
Yeah.
is, quarters meaning four, and it being four zone
Or
sections
zones.
of a
Sure.
certain part of the field. And the DB's not supposed to go too much farther outside of that zone. They're supposed to
Yeah.
have the
Fair
safety come
enough.
over for help. And there's all these things. It's not as cut and dry as this guy was in this spot and he should have made the play, especially on TV broadcasts where it's not too often a wide shot where you can see
Yeah.
what's happening. That all said, it's somebody's fault or it's a
Yeah.
couple of their faults. Something
Yeah.
happened. There's also the fact that Dane Evans was pinpoint today
He
and
was.
was really throwing the lights out. And sometimes you just get beat. Like they honored Ricky Ray today. There were times in Ricky Ray's career where it didn't matter what you threw at him. He would just dice you up, surgical. Dane Evans came to play. The Ticats receivers, as I mentioned on the Game Day pregame show, are very, very talented. Tim White, Stephen Dunbar, Poppy White. We all saw them come out to play, and you have to give credit to the other side. It's not always, well, the Bombers defense is so good, they should be stopping everything. Well, you got to come back down to earth and realize that sometimes a game plan gets you beat. Winnipeg did look better in the second half, but they also had collapses in the second half and in the first half. So, a lot goes into it. I don't think you can just say, 30's on the field and so caught the ball. A
Sure.
lot can go into it.
That's totally fair, and it's good to have the understanding of the complexity of football. As someone here saying they actually play match coverage, which I'm not sure I understand what that means. I've heard that term before. I don't know if it's you're matching DBs to certain receivers. Maybe they can explain, or somebody can. But yeah, I mean, a fair point. I mean, either he had a complete brain fart, or there was someone in the zone they're supposed to come over the top, and they just simply weren't there. But uh, for me, it's just a little bit of a pattern of Winston Rhodes this year where he has been beat in the preseason by Caleb Hawley against Edmonton and then against Ottawa and a couple other times. So then again, Richie Hall's defense also lives and dies on that pass rush, giving the DBs the chance to
100%.
play off coverage a little bit, especially if you're a
Yep.
rookie like Jamal Parker, people wondering why he's playing off coverage. Well, he's going to get beat if he doesn't, especially if they don't have that pass rush cooking, which they didn't. And this is what happens. But I guess this all goes to answer the question: am I concerned? No, it's one game. It's on the road. Maybe it was your classic trap game. Listen, these games happen, and it's good that they happen now. The Bombers are in the driver's seat. I don't think anyone's going to catch them in the West. I think they're going to host the West Final. We don't have to worry about it. Unless Vernon Adams is the second coming of Nathan Rourke all of a sudden, or all of a sudden he has his head straightened just like Dane Evans does. But
Yeah.
these games happen, and you cannot, like, the culture of the Bombers is such that maybe someone with average talent is going to play beyond their potential because of the system, because of the work habits and the discipline, Darrin.
Yep.
But sometimes it's just straight up talent. Like you
Mhm.
there's only so many players, right? And if
They're
you're in
they're
your third,
paid to play the game too, right?
well, if you're playing third stringers in linebacker and DB, and you're missing one of the ends in Jeff Coat, I mean, and you're just playing a team that's hot, you're gonna get beat.
Yeah.
And credit Hamilton's O-line. There's another story that and Chris Walby, and you talked about that in the preseason, but or not the pregame, maybe even the preseason. I don't remember for that far back. I don't remember yesterday, but that O-line was much maligned. It was basically a revolving door, and they held up. And yes, there was a lot of quick screens and quick game and misdirection from Hamilton. But there were times, Darrin, where he had a lot of time to throw the ball, And Jeffcoat being there or not, that left tackle was a straight up, was that not his first start on Hamilton?
Sorry, who?
The left tackle, I believe his name was Riley for
Oh,
Hamilton.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, left
rookie.
tackle is like the most important position in O-line. That I was licking my chops. I don't think he'd had a start. You go
Yeah.
up against Jeffcoat or Willie Jefferson, so credit them. But am I concerned? I am, unless we get, like, if we get healthy, I think we're okay, and I
So you're
hope we
saying
get
you're
healthy.
concerned if Winnipeg doesn't get healthy?
I'm concerned if we not on offense. I think we're fine in offense, and I think Ellingson will come back. And I credit Bolo for having a big game.
Great
O'Leary
game.
Orange, Bailey is now stepping up. Shone is unbelievable. Like, he is a complete miracle. Like, you don't see guys like
Before
this.
you sorry, Zach, I don't mean to
No,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off, but I do mean to cut you off. Before we deviate into kind of those smaller details, just do want to mention Winnipeg is 12-2 on the season.
Yeah,
Losing to a Hamilton team coming off a bye is different than, say, the Saskatchewan Roughriders last night losing to a
that
then
was bad.
3-win Elks team.
That
The
was
Hamilton
bad.
Tiger Cats, Mike O'Shea said it. And I do not believe Mike O'Shea was just giving the regular lip service of we take all our opponents seriously and we prepare the same for every game. This was not that. Mike O'Shea knows the Hamilton Tiger Cats are a good football team and they have had catastrophic collapses in the fourth quarter. Let's not think this team was beaten up and down the field in every game so far this season. Different than, say, losing to an Edmonton Elks team that has oftentimes been beaten up and down the field in football games. This is what
Well
I want
said.
everyone to do. And we're going to get into the text line. Lots of people texting the Bonfire hotline, 816-TIPS. That's 204-816-8477. We'll get to those. Everybody in the live chat. Great to see everybody in the live chat, too. Thanks for joining us here on Game Day After Dark, even though still daylight outside here in southern Manitoba. But we'll keep it steamy for you. Lots to talk about on the show today. This is what I want Bomber fans to do. Take a step back. It's a bad day. It's a bad game. Winnipeg got beat. No question. Tell me the last time a team went undefeated in a season. Tell me if you knew the Bombers were down to their third string weak side linebacker, lose an all-star in Jackson Jeffcoat, and go through it all. Okay? In Greg Ellingson and Drew Wolotarski and Mercy Maston and all the rest. Okay? They're 12-2. They're far away the best team still in the CFL. The only other loss came in overtime in a game where kicking was really one of the reasons they lost. And they get their hat handed to them on the road against Hamilton coming off a bye. The team that has faced Winnipeg in more big games than any other. If I had to pick one game for Winnipeg to get their hat handed to them, it would be Week 15 in Hamilton. Winnipeg going into a bye, Hamilton coming out of a bye. I don't care if they're a 3-win football team. I do not care. Hamilton is a good football team. Dane Evans, I said it on the pregame show. He can throw the lights out. And today he did. Winnipeg got beat. They will regroup. They need this bye week right now to get healthy. We won't get an update on Greg McCrae or Jackson Jeffcoat or any of those guys for about 8 or 9 days because Winnipeg just doesn't have a media availability and no practice. But take a step back, have a sip of something cold, and, consider where you're at right now as a fan of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Continue to join us. What is this? DB's got a Hamilton jersey under his hoodie. No, I don't. I don't have any jersey under anything. And that, of course, I'm sure saying in jest from our good friend Fritchie. I know Fritchie and his family a little bit. But Zach, you sit here and listen to my lips, flap.
I watch them. I watch your lips. That was
It's
weird.
a good thing this isn't just an audio podcast, right? You can see that. But no, people that know how I cover this league, I give credit where it's due. I thought Hamilton was a very good team. I had them at number 4 in my power rankings in, what was that, week 7? And they went on to
Yeah.
lose a whole pile of games, and Dane
Yep.
Evans had his fall from grace. Now Dane Evans looking more, once again, like the quarterback Hamilton decided to roll with. So
Yep. I mean, and credit to them. I mean, if he does continue this, that's really great. I mean, it is one game, and as
scheme.
someone who works in mental health, you can have a quick turnaround. There can be this honeymoon phase where you put some things in place and you can have some momentum. The trick
Welcome,
is
Jerry.
to from a mental health perspective, Darrin, and as someone who struggles with mental health myself, the trick is to sustain that, and that's harder, right? Like it's like an addiction. It's like everybody can quit smoking. You can throw your smokes out the window and feel great for 5 minutes. The,
Until you
the trick
start.
the trick is to refuse one from a buddy, or you go to the gas station when you're having a stressful day. So it'll be interesting to see how Dane Evans responds. But for his sake and Hamilton's sake, I hope he does. But speaking of maintaining resiliency, Rob Mahoney, I'm talking now. I think the Bomber, we can rely happily on the fact that we have a rock solid culture in locker room. They're gonna play this right. They're not gonna panic. We shouldn't panic, except for the injuries that are really harming us. I think we're okay. I guess one thing, Darrin, and I saw someone. Oh, don't bring Aaron Rodgers into this. Frick, I hate that guy. Listen, the one thing, not just the one thing, but one thing that concerns me a little bit is watching Janarian Grant on the kick return. I'm not sure if cover teams are just killing us lately, but
The
he
return
looks
teams.
like
Yeah.
he
Oh,
looks
you
like
gotcha. Sorry.
he looks like he doesn't have much in the tank. I don't know what other people think of this, but
You
Janarian
don't think
Grant,
Janarian Grant has lots in the tank?
I see him.
He's got burst, man. I don't
Oh,
think
he
there's anything
for
wrong with
sure.
Janarian Grant.
I'm wondering because he seems uncharacteristically to be getting stuffed. So I don't know if that's our blockers. I don't know if it's return teams, it's scheme, but that was I was hoping for a little more field position advantage from Janarian Grant because he can be a game changer.
There
Maybe
are
Hamilton
12
just
guys
covered.
on the
I get it.
field.
I get it, dude. But I'm
Just
just
saying.
saying, in a game like this, when you have a defensive touchdown scored on you, we needed a turnover. Ironic that turnovers killed Hamilton, and they're the ones that got 2 on us, takeaways actually. But
Yeah.
I just didn't see Janarian Grant doing much for us. Maybe it's our blockers. I don't know. That's what Pauladette's saying, but
Well, we talk
it's
a
a bit
lot about
disappointing.
we
That's
we
all.
talk a lot about offensive scheme and defensive scheme, uh, offensive game planning, defensive game planning. Clearly, Hamilton did a great job game planning offensively and on special teams. It is an area where coaches play chess as well. Paul
Totally.
Boudreau Jr. is a phenomenal special teams coordinator in the CFL. It's in his blood. His dad did it at a frankly Hall of Fame level in the National
With the
Football League
Rams.
for
Yep.
decades.
Yep.
And Paul Boudreau Sr., of course.
That's right.
And Winnipeg, what I see is they are often dominant on special teams, and then it's like other teams figure them out. When you're the class of something, when you're the best in the league at something, don't you think everybody is watching what you're doing? Like super, super close?
They're
No
watching what
doubt.
we're doing right now.
Well,
They're watching
yeah.
us very carefully. Like, how could we create our own show? Maybe younger people, maybe, can get away with no beards to hide the double chin. Don't have to wear a hat to hide the receding hairline. Well, for sure. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, yeah. And my mom said in pictures, some of her friends, they used to go behind each other and very subtly pull the back of the neck back.
Oh, like a do one of these?
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. But
Yeah.
for sure they're gonna watch it and it's gonna catch us. But this, this is tough. It was a tough game. This is I'm not sure who said this, but this is interesting just from a wider perspective, Darrin, on the standings and the crossover. You see Saskatchewan. I mean, when we feel bad, we got to crap on Saskatchewan. It makes us feel better, right?
Well, makes you feel better.
It makes me feel better. And here, here's the thing: they lose yesterday. What are they, 6-8 now? Hamilton's up to 4 wins.
Yep.
if Hamilton keeps going, like, that was a real tough loss at home for the Riders last night to a 3-win team. Chris Jones, who left them at the altar. Listen, this crossover thing is not assured anymore. And look
Nope.
out if Hamilton starts to play well. If Montreal just plays average and Saskatchewan keeps dropping, they have to play us again after the bye at IG Field. Don't think for a second the Bombers aren't going to come out firing in that September 30th game, buddy.
Yep.
The Riders with the Grey Cup in their backyard, you might, and with all the discipline issues and the fact that we talked about, Craig Dickinson probably doesn't have his hands steadily on the wheel, they could fall precipitously here, and
Well,
it would be quite the drama.
great comment from Corey May, watching live on YouTube. What's up, Corey? What's up, everybody else? Hamilton's schedule all East Division matchups going forward. The CFL did that
Interesting.
this year, where
Yeah.
they put a lot of division games, interdivision games late in the season, so you could get more leapfrogging and change of position and that sort of thing. But as you see right here, Saskatchewan 6-8, and frankly, nothing going the Rough Riders' way. Got absolutely pummeled in the Banjo Bowl, and then they lose at home to the previously 3-win
Ouch.
Edmonton Elks. They could have
Yep.
put the Elks out of the playoffs
That's
last night,
right.
and they lose on a field goal. So with Saskatchewan at 12 points through 14 games, and here's Hamilton at 8 points through 13 games, still have a game in
Game in
hand
hand. There you
and
go.
4 points out. So if they
What's
win
the
next week, they're
Sorry,
2
Darrin.
points out.
What's
2
their
points.
remaining schedule? Because someone put up a good reminder of the schedule for Saskatchewan. They've got to play us on the road. They've got to play Calgary on the road and Hamilton on the road.
Mhm.
So that game in Hamilton could be like a playoff game.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What do we know Hamilton's remaining schedule here?
I'll
Pull it
pull them
if
up,
you
and as I
can.
do,
Sorry, I'm
I'll
putting you on the
mention,
spot.
for the crossover, you have to have a better record.
Yeah,
You
you
cannot
can't
have
be
the same
tied.
record and then a tiebreaker. You have to have a better record. So Saskatchewan needs to start winning football games.
Yeah.
Week 16, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are in Montreal. That's this coming Friday, September 23rd. They then have another bye, believe it or not, in week 17. Then they are home to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So huge game on Friday, October 7th, 2 days after the CFL trade deadline. Some people were asking that earlier.
Yeah.
When is the CFL trade deadline? This year, it is October 5th. And it is an 11
Okay.
p.m. Central Time deadline, if I'm not mistaken. So October 5th is when that deadline is. Hamilton's hosting Saskatchewan on October 7th. Week 19, Hamilton is in Calgary. That'll be interesting, with Calgary very much pushing to get a home playoff game, potentially West semifinal. Heaven forbid for Bombers fans, West final.
And Hamilton and
And then,
Calgary games, Darrin, sorry to interrupt, are
yeah,
always classics. They're always weird games. You remember the
Ticats.
one earlier, right, where Hamilton had them on the ropes at home
Yeah,
by like 20 something points. They go for it on third down, miss it, and Calgary comes back and wins it in overtime. I was kind of hoping for something like that for us, but it alas did not materialize. Go ahead.
yes. Hamilton finishes with Ottawa in their final
No.
game of the season. I'm
And
just
that
gonna
could be
double
Ottawa auditioning guys
check
for
that.
next year, right? So
Yeah.
interesting how these two games, these games of the CFL this week have really turned up the heat on
Yes.
schedule watching and game watching. So
Gotta
that,
love this league, man.
yeah,
Gotta love this
it's
league.
fun. You can hate the two divisions and the weaker East, at least for the last few decades,
Is that
but
really bothering you? Like,
it
seriously,
doesn't
I
bother
understand the
me.
conversation,
Nah, let's not even
and
get into that. It's such a
no,
boring conversation,
but
but
I'm
I
just
just want to.
just I'm saying, if that bothers
Yeah,
you,
it's stupid.
like, you wake up in the morning, you're like, "Oh, 2 divisions, this is stupid." Come on. There's a crossover, and now it's being competed for.
Yeah, no, it makes it really, really interesting, especially if you're a Bomber fan and you just had a kind of a crushing loss, and the consolation is Saskatchewan lost to Hamilton last night, or to Edmonton
Yeah.
rather, and they may be looking at not making the playoffs in a year where they host the Grey Cup. Wow, that would be pretty interesting.
I will re-clarify. Hamilton plays a home and home with Ottawa the final 2 weeks
Oh my
of the season.
gosh.
So that'll be interesting
Wow.
too with the tie cat. Like, is Ottawa going to be, shuttered up at that point and essentially be a glorified training camp late in the season where games matter, but you're trying to figure out who's going to stay and who's going to go going into 2023? Waiters asking, when was the last time the Bombers played a game this bad? 2019? Well, Ted Wyman of the
Mhm.
Winnipeg Sun, be sure to check him out on social media and read him in the Winnipeg Sun tomorrow. Last time Winnipeg allowed 40 plus points in a game was August 17, 2018, in a 44-21 loss to Ottawa.
Ottawa. Yeah, I remember that game.
That's obviously when Ottawa had a pretty good
Well, they
quarterback
had
arm.
Trevor Harris, Greg Ellingson. They had a good defense. That's when they went to the Grey Cup representing the East
That might have
in
even been Henry,
2018.
right? Was that
And
Henry? No.
sorry?
Was that Henry
No, no,
Burris?
no.
Oh,
Trevor
Trevor
Harris
Harris.
took over in 2017, and they strip sacked Matt Nichols in that game. I remember. Yeah, that was a crap game. Although in 2019, Hamilton did beat us twice in the regular season. I believe 20. Well, for sure they beat us once late in the regular season. I think in October, Dane Evans threw over 300 yards in the first half. Chris Streveler was starting, and that was a tough one. One where Hamilton made us eat our lunch. They also did it in, I don't know if it was 2017 or 2018. Hamilton also came in and that's the 2017, the year Zach Collaros was pulled because they'd
Mhm.
started 0-9. They came in with Masoli, and in 2017, we hosted our first playoff game at IG Field. We were a very good team. Matt Nichols actually was having a 4,000-yard season. People were thinking he might be the MOP. And Hamilton came in and handed us our lunch money, like I think 30-13 or something. Hamilton's, they they've done this a few times, but anyway,
Uh,
it's a game,
Free
right?
Friesen, aka Garrett Morano,
Oh yeah.
sticking with this
Oh wow.
name for a little while now. Lions owning overrated Jake Mayer and the Stumps, says Friesen. It's 7-3 with a minute and a half left in the first quarter.
And
So,
he's saying Mayer is down and injured. Is he just kidding with us?
oh, I haven't seen that. Let me look
Yeah,
at the live play here. Uh, no, it doesn't. Oh, sorry.
maybe he's just toying with us.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I don't see anything. I'll have to check Twitter, but maybe
That
we'll
would be
get that.
interesting as
Zach,
well.
let's get into it.
Yeah,
Walby's
buddy.
Warrior, Westwood's wide to the right. We'll hand out our happy honker, our bonfire burning point, aka the TSN turning point. No, bonfire burning point here on Game Day After Dark, and we'll hand out our game balls as well. You got a Walby Warrior
I
today.
do. I do. My Walby Warrior, I'm going to go off the grid a little bit on the second part of it, but the first part, my Warrior is Dane Evans. It doesn't have to be a bomber. I just think this guy, I thought he was down and out. He really, like, you remember that play where Hamilton was winning with like a minute or something left, and they just had the ball deep in their end, and Edmonton strip sacked Dane Evans and won the game. Like, that was how Dane Evans was playing, throwing untimely interceptions. His head was totally going the wrong way. And for him to turn it around like that, I think I try to look wider than just the Bombers. I think that's great. I think that's inspiring. As someone myself who struggled with mental health, and Dane Evans was really courageous. I believe it was a CFL.ca article talking about struggling with mental health this year with all the pressure being the franchise quarterback. Because don't forget, for the last couple of years, it's kind of been 1A, 1B with Jeremiah Masoli. Everybody's saying they made the wrong decision. Jeremiah Masoli lighting it up at the beginning of the season before he was injured. So I just think from a mental health perspective, I think that's super cool that he reached out for help. And as someone who struggles, that is very hard, but it's necessary and it takes a lot of courage. So that I thought that was inspiring. In the same way, Brandon Alexander admitted to struggling, and some days felt like he was moving backwards in his recovery. And sometimes I think this is bigger than football. Maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better. But they're Warriors. And I'm not going to name names, but there's a couple of Bomber fans that follow us that have reached out privately that are also reaching out for help, Darrin. They've been inspired
I'm
by.
glad to hear they're reaching out.
Yeah, man. And I wrote a 3-down article about my own journey, and I think that has helped some folks. And I'm not saying that to wear the chain proudly. That is why I'm wearing the chain today, actually, not because we got the crap kicked out of us.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of these two people, and they know who they are, and that is bigger than football. And when you're struggling, the worst thing about mental health is you feel like it's your fault. It's not like, a heart attack and you're like, well, it's my fault I had a heart attack. I mean, there's factors that can go into it if you smoke and you don't eat right, but mental health, depression, anxiety, those kinds of things, one of the worst things about them is they make you feel like it's your fault, and that can make you feel ashamed, and especially for men, they don't reach out, and these two people
Are you still speaking about Dane Evans?
I'm speaking about Dane Evans, but I'm speaking about two other people who they know who they are, and they listen, and I'm really proud of them for reaching out. And to me, that's why I'm wearing the chain today for them. I'm thinking of them. They know who they are.
That is great.
It's important that CFL.ca and the Bombers are talking about mental health. And so for me, that's the Warrior today, Dane Evans. Good for him. And, he's got a family, right? Like, I know he's the enemy quarterback, but he's got a wife and he has a new child. And you don't want someone like that to be depressed and demoralized and to lose his job.
I think often we overanalyze, and those pieces come out because it's an opportunity to say those things and share those stories. But look, I'm not naive as a member of the media. Okay. We often overanalyze things. It happens. Okay. Because that's our job. We're supposed to dig into everything because people want to know. Sometimes there's something there. Other times you dig into it and it's just, well, okay, well, that's football. It happens. Or, this is commonplace, that sort of thing. But let's not be hyperbolic about Dane Evans. Yeah, he was down and out, but was he actually down and out? No, he had a bad stretch of football. This is professional sports. The other team is playing too. He fumbled and he threw picks and he fumbled again and they blew it in the fourth quarter again and they couldn't beat Toronto. Oh, well, on to the next.
And he got injured. He got that shoulder injury.
Yeah, good players make mistakes. So I think that's a good pick for your Walby Warrior tonight. Dane Evans goes 25 of 32, 78% passing, 327 yards, 5 TDs, no picks, perfect quarterback rating of 158.3.
5 is a big number, man. When you hit 5,
got in your hand there?
I have no idea, dude.
You're just playing with like an elastic or something?
Oh, this is
like, what is that?
I think I couldn't tell you, dude. So,
oh man,
I'm in a different.
Bad I asked now.
This is some kind of lid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
for a water bottle. My good choice on Dane Evans. I'm going to give my Walby Warrior tonight to, and this is not the player of the game, but I'm giving my Walby Warrior tonight to Rasheed Bailey, getting into the end zone again, building on a good game in the Banjo Bowl. Once again, 5 catches, 7 targets, 65 yards, 13 yards per catch, which is a very nice average for a slot style receiver and possession style receiver in Rasheed Bailey. Had 2 second down conversions, the touchdown, as I mentioned. That's my Walby Warrior.
Nice pick. I think, and someone said this on the chat earlier, Darrin, I think it's really awesome to see, you see last game in the Banjo Bowl, and now that this guy who we thought was invisible, but he was just in the trenches doing other things that weren't as noticeable, that he's picking it up, right? And good for him, because we're going to need him. He was huge in the Grey Cup. We're going to need him down the stretch.
Jake Cabilla's sharp eyes. That's a pin for a grenade, Zach.
Well, if that's a pin for a grenade, I would have already exploded. So maybe it was a lemon. Hopefully.
I hope not. I hope not. There is a comment here from Rob Mahoney I want to address. This will be unpopular, but I'm still glad you said it.
Yeah.
My grandmother told me to keep a stiff upper lip, says Rob Mahoney, and be a man. Boys don't cry. Pretty sure many other boys were raised similar. Tough to change.
Yep.
Absolutely, it's tough to change, and not to go on and on about mental health on the show here, but it is important, and I think this is a good forum to do it. It can be tough to change. It's also okay to have that stiff upper lip. It's okay to keep your frustrations on a day-to-day basis to yourself, but have the sense of mind that when you do need help, you can put that stiff upper lip away. You can open up to people you trust. It doesn't have to be like I have to be this open and sensitive person and share everything with other. It doesn't have to be that way. If you were raised to have a stiff upper lip, if you were raised to keep things to yourself and keep it inside, that's okay. You don't have to become a different person. You just have to identify the times when you need to talk to somebody. And it can even be like, it doesn't have to be like, Zach, listen, I'm having a hard time. I want to talk to you about my mental health. It doesn't have to be that way. You can just talk to somebody and say, Zach, man, like yesterday really pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
And have a conversation and feel better. You don't
Totally.
have to talk about mental health if you're not comfortable. You don't have to label yourself as somebody struggling with mental health to talk to somebody. Just talk to somebody. Let somebody you trust know how you're feeling and check in on them. Check in on other people if you think they're having a tough time. If you know there's somebody that keeps the stiff upper lip, just have the conversation. Don't pack it down forever. Identify when you need to talk to somebody. I think that's important. Zach, let's hear your Westwood wide to the right. The moment in today's game that got under your skin, maybe broke that stiff upper lip of yours.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Sensitive New Age man. I don't have a stiff upper lip unless I was watching when Rose got burned there. I was like in a rictus of agony and rage. Again, we would have to break down the film as Mike O'Shea says, but that one pissed me off. That seemed to really, like, as much as my mother-in-law was saying, hey, Zach, the game's not over. And sure, it's the CFL. 34-14 going into the half is tough to come back from. And that one really burned me. I don't know who messed up. Maybe, like you said, it was a couple people, but that one sucked. That one really, really sucked. That's my wide to the right. Small wide to the right that we missed a few plays while they were interviewing people, but it's the Hall of Fame game, whatever. As long as it's not at the echelon of when they had Nicole Kidman's husband on there with Glenn Suter in the Grey Cup. I'm not even going to say his name because that just annoys the crap out of me. Oh, my God. Never do that again in the Grey Cup. Have an interview with the musical act,
like an Australian guy that has no idea what
some
gridiron
guy.
football is.
Yeah, and then had him calling the game. Are you kidding me? So that was my wide to the right. That I have it here. It was with 1:54 left in the second quarter, and it was a 54-yard touchdown on Rose. And yeah, that for me, that was wide to the right. I just, it's that Richie Hall defense. It's Hamilton that was, you were talking about with Walby and pregame that gives up big plays, big pass plays, and they did a few times for sure. But that was for me, that was inexcusable. And I'm not saying it's just Rose, but it was inexcusable, and it really, I think it really just killed us there.
Zach, I don't know if I have a wide to the right today.
Well, Sarah Orlesky not being there, because clearly that's superstition.
There you go.
That's why we lost.
I love Shooter. I love Matthew Shinetti. He is a good buddy of mine, and he does a phenomenal job. TSN is in good hands. We will miss Sarah. She is like
Britt Dort was great
one
yesterday.
of the goats.
I enjoyed Britt Dort. I thought she had a great opening act there. Tough shoes to fill.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like Claire Hanna. Still doing workout in Ottawa and that sort of thing. So we're in good hands. I guess you could give like an honorary wide to the right that Sarah wasn't there tonight. But I mean, hey,
can I take your wide to the right then? Because I got another one.
You already had two.
Well, then I'll have 3.
Okay.
This one burnt my craw, and I saw someone in the chat. Burnt my craw? Is that even a
Wait, did it
saying?
stick in your craw or did it
Stick in
burn
my
you?
craw. I
Okay.
don't even know what a craw is, but whatever it is, something was stuck in it
Your armpit?
when
Oh.
in the 3rd quarter, when we absolutely had to make everything count, they take Zach Collaros out in the red zone. They put in Prukop on 2nd and 5, and for the second time in the game, Buck tries the fake sweep and Prukop running up the middle. I know that worked great in the Banjo Bowl, but Hamilton saw it coming a mile away. It made us kick a field goal to go to 17 points.
Hey,
I'm not saying it's the reason we lost. I
no, of
just
course not.
hated the call. I hated that call.
Well, look,
Now I'm
if it
done.
works, it's there's Prukop again doing his thing. The
Nah.
more you do something, the more other teams are going to see it, recognize it before it happens, and then work to stop it.
I know,
Right?
but it had been completely. They'd read the mail in the first half. I knew it
Yep.
wasn't going to work.
Yep.
And Wide to the Right Bomber fan is saying 2-point converts. He didn't need 2-point converts. We didn't even get to the point that he needed it because they were only down by 10 and they were down by 17. We were talking about that at home, but he was down by, I believe, 24, so he gets the 7, and then you're down by 16 or something. Whatever.
Yep.
I don't think it came to the I don't think it yeah, Bomber fan has it. Down 18. Yeah, anyway. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's move on.
And Bomber fan mentions too that he believes Mike O'Shea's stance on 2-pointers
Well,
makes
yeah.
no sense.
I like it. We can discuss on midweek sometime.
Like 16 is still 2-point converted converts. So you're gonna do the math. If you're one of those math people, do the math. You're saying we're gonna score 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point converts. Like maybe another possession is more likely.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No,
There was a lot of time left. A lot of time left in the game.
Okay, let's go to Happy Honker.
Yeah.
We're getting lost in the weeds
brighten
here.
things up a little bit following the Bombers' 48-31 loss in Hamilton today.
Okay, what's your Happy Honker, Darrin?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah,
okay.
why not?
I'll give a happy honker to the Blue Bombers offense. They did play quite well. Zach Collaros, the 2 interceptions, I get that. Brady ran well. Once again, another game with a very strong yards per carry average of 6.7. The Blue Bombers offensive line pretty much unchanged from last week and the week before. I know Michael Couture dressed as a reserve alongside Liam Dobson. I don't know if he got into the game. I didn't see him. But the way Rasheed Bailey played, loved the jet sweep on the first play of the game, picking up 19 yards. Was a very nice one. Greg McCrae, Nick Dembski, obviously Dakota Prukop and Jaren Grant had a carry for 3 yards. They got a lot of guys involved in the run game. That was one of my keys to the game on the pregame show, was to get the run game going. No doubt Dalton Schoen will get one of our eventual game balls. We'll get to that in a second. But him and Bolo, Brendan O'Leary Orange, Rasheed Bailey, Nick Dembski, they all played very well. The offensive line, I won't say it was like a good game or a bad game for them, but I will overall say it was a good game. I think they did do a good job. I understand the scoop and score from Winnipeg native Mason Bennett hurt. And Collaros did get tossed around a little bit, but overall, I'll give a happy honker to the Blue Bombers offense. They stayed tough and in the game and put up 31 points against an opponent. Like 31 points usually wins a game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So that's one of my happy honkers.
Yeah, all of those points coming off the offense, nothing from special teams or defense. We didn't get a turnover or anything.
I'll give another happy honker to all of the Hall of Fame inductees tonight. Great to see Ricky Ray go in. What an unbelievably talented and prolific quarterback in CFL history. And we'll give a special happy honker to the families of the individuals who were inducted that are no longer with us. And also, I think a special one goes to Dave Ritchie, one of the true colorful personalities and great guys that were part of some very good Winnipeg Blue Bombers football teams, was an assistant on the 1990 Grey Cup championship team here in Winnipeg. Happy Honker, I think I'll top it with the one to Dave Ritchie.
Yeah, that was awesome to see because my mother, because I don't remember Dave Ritchie very in much detail given my age, but my mother-in-law was there just saying Dave Ritchie could talk forever and
Well,
say
and you know
nothing
what he would do?
and
I've
say
been told
nothing
this.
too.
You know what he would do is he would tell the media, I'd be like, come in here, sit down for a
Yeah,
little
I've
bit.
heard
And they
this.
would
It's
just
a great
shoot the
story.
shit.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
yeah.
I
So
wish that was still a thing in today's media landscape, but it's
it's
not.
it's true. It's a lost art, right? I think I think Milt's interviewing was super funny. I was going to give
Yeah.
my happy honker just to the mental health thing, but I think we've already covered that. I amn't. I ain't that young, but I wasn't following football as much in those early 2000s. But yeah, Milt interviewing Dave Ritchie was pretty cool because I can't imagine Milt's got a word in edgewise
Mhm.
when Richie was around. Burning point, buddy. I've already kind of said mine. It was that Smith 54-yard touchdown. I realized we were already down by 2 scores, but that one kind of put it out of reach.
Mhm.
You're up by 20. Winnipeg's a power running team. That was my burning point. Although I
Okay.
will say Brady Oliveira had a good game. I mean, he almost had a 6-yard average. The running game
Oh, he had
was
more than 6-yard average.
so 9 carries for 60 yards. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. 6.7 yards average. He had 2 runs of 10, largest 17. I think he played really well. And love to see Dembski with that jet sweep still working. So I think, I hate to say it. I hope this isn't the case if our defense continues to be wounded, but our offense may have to put enough points to win us games, put up enough points there. And I hope that
Yeah.
isn't the case. I hope our defense comes back to the fray because they do say when the defense wins championships, especially in the cold. You're going to have a cold Grey Cup, most likely. You're going to have a cold West Final. So these are things to think about. We're going into the bye week. Maybe we talked about this on midweek. Maybe we bring in some DBs. Maybe we bring in a Deku or an Ed Gainey, although I think Edmonton's not turning. I don't think Edmonton's helping anybody right now, especially since they won that game and they're not out of it. So we'll see. We'll see.
I completely agree with you on your bonfire burning point. That touchdown to Smith, 54 yards. That was a very quick drive. 2 plays, 70
Yeah.
yards. It just took 23 seconds, but that put Hamilton in front, 34-14.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when was that? That was, late in the second quarter.
154 left. Yeah. Less
Yeah,
than 2 minutes
so
left.
that first half really did tell the story of the game. Winnipeg did not count themselves out. I know I was putting some things out on social media about like, when do you have the conversation about Kolaris and maybe taking him out? Like, look, at 34-14, it's a 20-point game. That's 3 scores. There's no way you pull your quarterback at that point.
No, not a
And
Kolaris,
then,
especially a guy who's a
right.
gunslinger.
And then when it's 41-17, that's a 4-score game. But there's a quarter to play. Right? Hang on a second. That's 24 points.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, you could technically say that's a 3-score game with 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point converts, but that's a 4-score game. It really is. If you're going to, have 3 2-point converts, that's essentially like another score, right? But with a quarter to play, Winnipeg did not want to admit defeat. That's what I tweeted was, if you pull your quarterback with a quarter to play, you're effectively admitting defeat. I just don't know if it's in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers DNA. I'm very comfortable saying, I know that's not in Mike O'Shea's DNA. So while protecting Kolaris is important and giving Drew Brown reps is important, Winnipeg is playing a team they could very well face in the Grey Cup once again.
Yeah, get some
Don't count the
reps.
Ticats out, man. You get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Look at the Red Blacks.
You're also, and I know this isn't necessarily the most important thing to O'Shea, but you don't necessarily want to piss off your quarterback for no reason, right? Like Zach would not be happy coming out.
You might be pissing off more than your quarterback. You might be
Yeah.
pissing off your OC. You might be pissing off your O-line. You might be pissing off the receivers, like everybody on offense.
Sure.
You could even be pissing off people on the defense. Like, why are you taking Zach out?
Yeah.
My chin's high. I'm still trying to win.
Fair. That's a good point.
You know,
I think there's a Paul
good point by you.
Thank you.
Very good point by you.
Sometimes I get one.
Oh, come on.
Paul Audette saying Zach wearing the heavy chains of defeat. Yes, it weighs heavy. But again, the chain is for mental health today for all those people that I talked about, that we've talked about. The secondary burning point is just, and people have said that, but I don't think it's the main one, because we were still down by 10 at near the end of the fourth quarter. But Hamilton, a 6-minute drive, we knew they were going to run the ball, and they just ran it down our throat. Like a bunch of times, a 2nd and 6, 2nd and 9. Evans had a huge run. They went to their third stringer and Sean Thomas Erlington, and they kept running the ball. And then, of course, 2nd and 6, 2nd and goal.
Right.
You kick a field goal there. It's a 13-point game, I guess, or it's still 2 touchdowns. It's very different than 3 scores. And he throws it to Unger. Home, to his credit, seemed to have pretty good coverage, but it was just a perfectly thrown ball. I mean, it's like I know I hate baseball, and I talked about this, but what I've heard is that when you have a pitcher playing lights out, you just can't beat them. Right? Like if a pitcher's on their game like that, you're just, there's only so much you can do. So that could be maybe a secondary burning point. Let's talk game ball, buddy. I know we're getting over an hour here. Maybe people have evening plans.
We don't.
Well, I do. I got to put my son to bed soon. Now
you do. Yeah, no, it's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock here in southern Manitoba.
I probably got to take him outside for a few minutes just to get him to run around like a crazy wild animal. We kept him inside. But game ball for me goes to Dane Evans again. Like, he's my warrior, but he also gets a game ball. He gets double the
deservedly so.
Double the accolades and just the Ticats organization. That doesn't happen without a supportive management and coaching staff and team psychologist or whoever he talked to. So kudos to them, man. That's for the whole organization.
I'm rubbing off on you, Zach Schnitzer.
Ooh, that's steamy after dark talk.
Yeah, there you go. I am rubbing off on you because you are not sugarcoating anything. I love it. I'm not saying you were a sugarcoater before, but you can tilt the blue glasses down sometimes. Give credit where it's due.
Oh, sure.
Dane Evans diced the Bombers tonight. Most Bomber fans are pissed off at Dane Evans. You gave him your first game ball. I love it.
Yeah, no, he and I guess I do just want to give a little bit of a shout out to, like you said, to the Bombers offense, but especially Sean. Like, how many yards did he have? 158?
Yes.
And he almost made another huge catch. He kind of dropped that one. Zach threw another big one.
Somebody tweeted at me. They were like, "Oh, if Sean didn't drop that ball, the Bombers would have." Are you kidding me?
That was just one of 10 things that happened that,
it wasn't even a drop. Like, sorry, I'm yelling because that pisses me off. When people just presume these receivers should catch absolutely everything. Like, give me a break. That is a contested football.
Oh, it was a tough catch. It was a
tough catch.
Yeah.
Real tough catch. If he pulled it in, guess what? It's on the highlights. So if he doesn't pull it in, you're really going to blame the guy? You didn't make a highlight reel catch? He made lots of highlight reel catches. He's made a ton.
Oh, man. He made some in this game.
In his rookie season. But yeah, going 6 for 10 targets, 6 catches, 158 yards, including a long of 47. I'm with you. You got to give Dalton Schoen a game ball.
Yeah, he was just ridiculous tonight. And for him to be a real rookie, like he's never played in the NFL, the XFL. Unbelievable. And I do want to say I rewatched the Banjo Bowl, Darrin. I do want to say I missed this in my sober second thought. There was a time where he got absolutely smashed by Mike Edom, and the ball was coming out of his hands, and he held onto that ball. I thought that was up there with Bailey's touchdown as one of the plays of the game. There's no way he holds on to that ball. The concentration and the presence of mind to get to just get your teeth
Yeah.
chattered and your jaw rocked like that. Wow. That was incredible. So Schoen gets a game ball. I like Bailey. And listen, you said it was Bolo time. So Brendan O'Leary Orange is really showing well. Big body Canadian
Yeah.
receiver. We miss Wolotarski. Don't get me wrong, but he's playing well, Darrin. He's playing. He's calm out there. He's making the catches he needs to make. He makes a couple guys miss. He's obviously in the right spots. He's blocking. He was blocking on that Air 88 touchdown, Flight 88 touchdown last
Yes.
week. So just a couple of token game balls to a team that lost today in a tough way.
All well deserved there, I think. No
Yeah.
question.
He ain't here next year, buddy. Do you think he's even here in the CFL?
He could get a look. He could get a
I
look.
think he has to get a look.
Yeah.
He's not a small guy. He's just a guy that never had an NFL chance because I think he played at a small school.
Yes.
And sometimes you just need to get the film.
Yeah.
And
Well, like he walked on to a mid-major school. Like a major school would be like LSU, Alabama, USC, Notre Dame, a mid-major like Kansas State. Sometimes they're in the top 25, but yeah, no doubt has the talent and the production in his first year playing a pro football season. Yeah, I mean, Dalton Schoen, no doubt. Game ball to Dalton Schoen. I'm with you there. Bolo as well. Brendan O'Leary Orange, 6 catches on 7 targets for 72 yards. Did he have any second? I think, hang on 1 second. O'Leary Orange had 1 second down conversion. So that's always positive. 2 for Dembski, 2 for Bailey, 3 for Dalton Schoen on second down conversions. But I want to give a game ball to Brady Oliveira. Only 9 touches today, all carries, but to average 6.7 yards per carry, he picked up 2 runs of 10 yards. He made the run game a legit threat, and that goes beyond him carrying the ball.
Yep.
It goes to the jet sweeps and the different stuff to McRae and Dembski and Bailey and Grant. I think Brady Oliveira starting to come into his own, not just as a football player, but like as a guy that can produce consistently. So he gets one of my game balls.
Sorry, I'm laughing here. Greg is just irate at us. He's saying we are
boy, what did we
wrong
do
in
now?
caps. Kansas State is a Big 12, which is a Power 5 conference. Very bad take, but I don't know.
Bad
We had Bomber fan here who seems to know a lot about football, much more than I do. That's for sure. Saying that Kansas was a more of a power run team. So Schoen probably didn't get a whole lot of looks in terms of being a receiver there. Bomber, I gotta give a shout out to Bomber fan. He knows his stuff, man. Like talking about match coverage and different college programs, and I'm not doing him justice here, but Bomber fan, whoever you are, man, text the hotline. We want to know who you are because you sure know your stuff, and you enrich our chat, and you certainly enrich my understanding of the game, which is I love that, man. So thank you.
One of the comments from Bomber fan is I'd give Big Hill the rest of the regular season off, saying that he looks injured.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, but I can understand why people might think that. They really did a good job scheming against Adam Big Hill, but did he look hurt when he went over the top on short yardage in the fourth quarter?
I don't know, man.
Didn't look hurt to me.
Yeah.
800
tackles for Adam Big Hill today. He reached 800, so that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I saw that on the broadcast.
I think Zach Polaris needed something like 20 passing yards to have a career high. He had 342 yards today.
Wow.
2 picks, 2 touchdowns, went 68%, quarterback efficiency of 95.5, but he threw for 342. That's a nice big number and a reason why Winnipeg scored 31 points today. I wouldn't even say the turnovers are why Winnipeg lost. You erase those 2 interceptions.
Score from the DB, the defensive touchdown maybe, but the interception. Well, that being said, I think I may be wrong, but I think Hamilton got a touchdown off that first interception from Zach, from Jamal Roll.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I mean, Hamilton was it's like the Banjo Bowl. It's like when our offense was just clicking at such a high rate, at such an elite level. I mean, that was Hamilton, and they played us perfectly. Hey, it happens. I will
Um,
remind people that when BC won the Grey Cup and they just stomped over everybody in the second half of that season, Darrin in 2011, after starting 1-6,
mhm.
they lost to Hamilton late in the season at home, BC at home, like 43-10. I mean, it happens to Grey Cup winning teams. I mean, it's football. These guys, this is the Canadian Football League. They know each other's playbooks. And Hamilton and Winnipeg, I mean, aside from being an interdivisional opponent, these guys know each other like the backs of their hand. We
Mhm.
didn't even beat Hamilton that convincingly at home. It was a Willie Jefferson pick six that really put that one away to make it 26. I think I don't remember the score, 12 or something, but that was a game, man. They played us tough at home too.
They did. Gregory's got me down a NCAA rabbit hole right now.
Uh-oh.
Um, but yeah, like I mean, what's a mid major? Any school that's not a member of one of the six major conferences, which includes the Big Ten, the Big 12, Pac 12, Big East, ACC, SEC. Okay, fine, but I mean, they're in a very, very good conference. It is a major conference, but like I mean, Iowa State,
Mm,
Kansas State,
I don't know, man.
TCU. Like I understand Ladainian Tomlinson, TCU Horned Frogs, good program through the years, but yeah, I don't know. Just just not doesn't scream major college to me. I
I
could
don't
be
know,
wrong.
man.
I could be
You've
wrong.
forgotten more about college than I'll ever know about college football. Um,
That
yeah.
I don't know. I was into it in the 90s and 2000s, but I've definitely lost touch with that. I want to address something here. People are talking about me living on Hazeldell. I don't even know where Hazeldell is.
It's an EK off Henderson past Kimberly. I have a
Yeah,
buddy
yeah.
who
We'll,
lives
we'll,
there.
we'll say I live on Hazeldell. That's just fine with me. Come see me on Hazeldell. You see me on Hazeldell, it's a doppelganger. But come see me on Hazeldell. That's cool. This moment I thought was
Uh,
pretty funny in the game. Richie kissed Steele's hand.
aw,
Two men always had nothing but
that's
respect for
cute.
each other. No doubt that was kind of a cool moment.
Yeah,
Just old school respect there, right? With the arm around him and kind of kisses Milt's hand. Taking jabs at each other and their time in college football and that sort of thing.
totally.
That was
That's
pretty funny.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Have we
I
gone
I
through?
gotta thank this show. I know we want to wrap it up, but I'm feeling better about the loss now that we've done our therapy here. Uh, I take losses pretty hard, or I used to. It's hard to take a loss hard, as Rob Mahoney says, when it's 12-2 team, guys.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's okay. We're gonna be fine. I trust the Canadian Mafia to right the ship here,
Well,
and we
guess
do.
what? They got a bye
They
week.
got a
They can
bye
get
week.
healthy, and then they host the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So all things considered, I think Winnipeg will
It's
be
gonna be
okay. Who does
great.
Saskatchewan have next week?
Uh,
Saskatchewan is on the bye next week.
but you know what, too? Remember we lost to Montreal and that horrible loss, and we were gonna be 10-0, and then we had the bye. We came out and we beat Calgary. That was the biggest win of the season for me so far. 2-point win against Calgary really cemented us in the top of the Western Conference, and so we'll be okay. Although I
Yep.
am honestly a little bit concerned about the injuries on defense, Darren, and we'll see how their depth chart looks. I know you'll keep us updated because you're our man on the ground there, but they need some help either to parachute someone in or just to get some
Don't hold your
help.
breath.
Yeah, I'm not. You talked about it on midweek. They are still a good defense, but I'm just saying if they don't get healthier, if you have
Yeah.
Shane Gauthier playing will linebacker against Calgary in the West Final, and you've got
Oof.
a healthier Stamps team that has given us a big run for our money 3 times, I'd be
Yeah.
worried. You've got Houston down, who is already a backup. Nick Taylor, we need, and I'm happy to hear you say on the pregame that Nick Taylor is on the 1 game and not the 6 game. But
So
yeah, this is it. It is a bit concerning. I'll be honest.
let me get
Hanson,
through a bunch of the comments here that I kind of saved as we go. Comment asking earlier in the program, how serious is the Demario Houston injury? It does look serious. He is just, is he here? Oh yeah, there he is. He's on the 6th game. Body language, the fact that he's in civilian clothes during practice, the Demario Houston injury looks bad. That said, I think it's really tough for someone like Demario Houston. He took the boundary corner job from Winston Rose this year.
Yep.
He looked like the DeAndre Alford of 2022. So that has to be a tough pill to swallow, to have your season derailed like Demario Houston's has.
Totally.
But maybe he's somebody who can, maybe it's a soft tissue thing and he's able to come back later this season. We will have to wait and see. Eric asking, we touched on this, but when's the CFL trade deadline? October 5th is the CFL trade deadline. So like, when is that? How far from today? We got a couple weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they'll bring one, maybe one guy in, but we'll see. I do want to say one more thing, because I'm not going to rewatch this game and punish myself and do a sober second thought on midweek, Darrin. What I would have said on midweek is, on the first interception by Jamal Roll, where it was clear it was going to Dembski, if rewatch that, folks, it looks like way past 5 yards, Dembski gets impeded. And I may be wrong. It may be blue and gold glasses. It looks like he got bumped out of his route, and that affected the play. Just saying, that was a huge interception that turned into 7 going the other way for Hamilton. Interested to see people's thoughts. Maybe they saw it more clearly than me. And we know it's not as simple as throwing the challenge. If it looks like PI, you have to have the spotters. You've got to have the right angles. You've got to have the right video, which is sometimes impossible to get in the CFL. So just curious about that. If people think there may have been a case for PI there, I'm not saying it's the reason we lost, but it seemed like a big call that could have been missed.
5U. I'll just call you that.
Yeah, 5U, buddy.
I think you entered your password for your username there. No, I kid, of course. Will the Bombers be able to get Greg Ellingson and Carlton Agadosi back before the postseason? Quite possible. Carlton Agadosi and Greg Ellingson are both on the 6th game. I saw Agadosi walking in a boot this past week. Ellingson, it's got to be hamstring or groin or an ankle or something like that that's keeping him out. Ellingson isn't far off. That could very well be the case, but it really looked like he just aggravated something that's been bugging him this year. We'll see what happens with Jackson Jeffcoat and Greg McRae, who left the game late. Jeffcoat in the first half. Now, people want to know about Nick Taylor. He's on the 1 game, right? And Drew Wolodarski on the 1 game. People said, I thought Nick Taylor blew his Achilles. Achilles injuries don't have to be season ending. I suffered an Achilles injury in my last season of football. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I can only speak about my personal experience. But my Achilles started to peel off of my heel. So it was like the base of the Achilles, like almost under the foot, under the heel. Mine started to peel off, right? And it's essentially a tear, or like a partial, removal from the bone, whatever that's called. I went into hardcore physio for like 4 weeks. And then I played in our final game that happened to be the championship.
Did you play well?
We had the league MVP. I was a receiver. We had the league MVP. Zach, get this. We had the league MVP quarterback, Jonathan Palmerton, went on to play a little bit of Bisons. He dislocated the middle knuckle on his index finger on his throwing hand in the semifinal. They put a big club on his arm. He played linebacker in the championship game and had a whole whack of tackles.
Oh, yeah.
Because our number one quarterback was out, league MVP, might I remind you, we ran the ball almost exclusively. I think we threw it 8 times the whole game. And we had the ball a lot because the St. Vital Mustangs kept scoring. So they stacked the box, beat the crap out of us. 2 months later, the football board or whatever it is that runs major football determined the St. Vital Mustangs had a 22-year-old on their team and he was ineligible to play.
No
So
way.
they had their championship vacated. And to
Wow.
this day, this was like 20 plus years ago. To this day, when the St. Vital Mustangs win the major championship trophy, like the major age group, they peel the 2001 or 2002, I can't even remember now, St. James Rod's championship little placard off of the trophy.
Wow.
And then when they do that like it's kind of in jest, right? And in fun.
Yeah.
And then of course the Rods put it back on. But that rivalry continues between South Winnipeg and
That's a great
West
story,
Winnipeg.
buddy.
But yeah, for Nick Taylor, I mean, like, yeah, it might be an Achilles injury, but doesn't mean his season is
I
over.
sure hope not.
Drew Wolodarski has a knee brace on. For these guys that are on the one game, like it could be a 5-week injury or 4-week injury. They want to make sure that they don't plunk a guy on there and then they're stuck. You know, if Ellingson's ready to come back or if Patrice Renee's ready to come back, you might activate one of those 2 early activations off the 6 games. So we will see how that shakes out. But, like Mike O'Shea won't do, never count anybody out. Oh, Bomber fan. You don't like the Rods? I'm sorry. Rods are gods.
Ooh,
Rods are gods.
nice.
I used to have a t-shirt that said that.
Nice. And waiters asked I'll make 2 more comments and then we'll say sayonara, Darrin.
Sure.
My worst injury is currently what I'm going through. I have a partially torn medial meniscus and ACL thing going on, but I've got physio. I've got a good knee brace. I'm doing my physio exercises. So I will be on the mend, and I'm 39. So these things happen.
Takes time to recover when you're 39.
It does, and I thank the folks here at Darrin, you for having me on this show all the time. It's a real joy, even when we lose, and especially when we lose, it kind of takes the sting off to just chat with good friends, good people. A couple of you are on the chat. You know who you are. I'm really proud of you. Doesn't for me, it's way bigger than the game today, so I'm really happy.
Hey.
They know who they are, and. Bomber fan, I just love what you're bringing. Hit at me on Twitter or something. I want to know more about you, or Darrin. We want to know your background in football because it's you make some great comments. And he corrected me. He said it was actually Bailey who was the intended receiver, so you can't call DPI on the Jamal Roll interception. My question, going back to you, and you can toss this around in your head, or the fans can the fireside. The fireside chat folks,
Yep.
old age. If Bailey was the intended receiver, but Dembski was impeded, is that not a legal contact, even if he wasn't the intended receiver? And can you challenge that? That's my question. And I will stop talking.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. I was reading I wanted to make sure, I apologize. I wanted to make sure I got to this. So one of our commenters, like not in the live chat, but in the comments below the video of our pregame show, goes with the handle Back the Bombers. And they messaged us and said, great work. Is there a way I can donate or subscribe monetarily to you guys?
Oh.
And I was blown away. Like, how cool is that? We've never asked for donations or anything like a lot of live streamers do. But this individual reached out. I gave him, the hotline number and our email address. You can always email us, wpgsports@gmail.com. And they sent a e-transfer and saying first time and lifelong fans. So shout out to you, Back the Bombers. I think your name is Aaron. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron.
Beyond generous.
Yeah.
They even said they wanted to continue donating monthly or bi-monthly or something like that.
Wow.
Beyond appreciative and thankful for that. And Zach, keep in mind, this is your show as much as anybody's. I know I push a bunch of buttons and tweak up some software and do a little bit of graphic design and that sort of thing. But this is your show, man. Don't ever doubt that.
I know. I'm just too self-deprecating. I mean, I really am the reason people log on, right, Darrin? Well, oh, we can't just look at that. And I think Bomber fan said that too. There's no super chat option. Greg is saying, "What's a super chat?"
Yeah, I think we recently here on Bonfire
There
on
already is
YouTube
a
anyway,
super chat.
we
What do you
became
mean?
eligible for monetization, right? So I've got to
Oh,
spend some time during this bye week getting into all of that,
okay.
and ensuring that if people want to super chat or donate, or we can set up a Patreon, or there's another one I think that like is live right in there. But if you want to help out Bonfire right now, this is what you do. You tell your friends to go to youtube.com/bonfire sports or bonfiresports.ca. Very, very simple. Bonfire Sports. Just search it on your YouTube or your favorite podcast platform or whatever. Subscribe, give some thumbs up. Everybody right now, whether you're watching this live or afterwards, give us a thumbs up below the video, and our other videos too. We really, really do appreciate that. But spread the word. Put it on your social media, your Facebook, your TikTok, whatever you're into, and let's get more people on board because the community continues to grow, and it's just a great thing. Appreciate you all very much.
Cool, and thanks, Aaron. That's super generous. I need a new car. I still am driving my 2008 beat up Honda Civic.
Well, I'll invest the $25 that Aaron donated to us, and see if I can get a nicer treat for
Uh,
you, Zach.
all right, folks. Great to see you all. Love you all. Fun show. Even though we fall, and I got to go up now. My wife is saying my son is losing his mind. So sayonara, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Game Day After Dark. We'll see you midweek, Wednesday, 7:30 here on Bonfire Sports. Take care, everyone. Here we go.